Jerusalem belonged to. Efforts in the past have been made to establish peace. These measures include the Balfour Declaration, the UN Petition Recommendation, and the Clinton Parameters. The Balfour Declaration, attempted in 1917, supported Zionism. Zionism is a nationalist Jewish movement that desires a unified homeland for Jews. Zionism began before the time of the United Nations during the 1800s. Author James Balfour stated, "With favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people." The UN Partition Plan was recommended in November of 1947. The UN Partition Recommendation Plan clearly illustrates the UN's attempt to divide the land of Palestine between the Jews and Arabs. As stated in the UN Partition Plan, the Zionists did not accept the partition plan. The document clearly shows that the Jews and Arabs took what land in Palestine. However, no agreement was successfully made in 1947. The most recent recommendation in an attempt to create peace between the Israelites and Palestinians was in January of 2001.
People that have the true right to the land of Palestine. The Jewish people were there first, taking over the land in 1225 BC. Moses led the Israelites from Egypt to Palestine on the journey called the Exodus. After crossing the Jordan River during the Exodus, the Israelites attacked Jericho and occupied the region. The Temple of Jerusalem was also constructed in the 10th century BC by King David, making Jerusalem the central city of Judaism. The Jews have been the targets of genocide and used as scapegoats throughout history because they were the first monotheistic religion. The persecutions that Jews encountered were by the Romans in 63 BC, when plagues came about, massacres of the Jews known as pogroms, and Hitler in World War II. Hitler used the Jews as a common enemy for the people of Germany and as scapegoats for hatred. According to the Balfour Declaration of 1917, Lord Balfour stated, "With favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people." The Balfour Declaration clearly shows the international support the Jews received for the creation of Israel as a Jewish state.
Muslims have often ruled the Holy Land Jerusalem. Starting in 1639 CE, only about 20 years after Islam was founded, Jerusalem was in the Muslims' hands. This land is holy to the Islamic people, because this is the city where the angel Gabriel took Muhammad into heaven and met Allah. We are truly entitled to this land since we won the Crusades against the Christians, who attacked us while the Muslims were already living in Jerusalem. There were at least 9 major Western Crusades, and many smaller ones launched against the Arabs between 1095 and 1290. In order to raise a large army to fight the Arabs and Islam, both armies would be guaranteed a special place in paradise. After much struggle, the Arabs managed to secure a victory against the Western Crusaders and re-obtain Jerusalem, but now without much sacrifice. Later on, however, our land was taken away from us. This is evident in the Balfour Declaration. Lord Balfour stated in 1917, "His Majesty's government views with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use the best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object." This statement clearly shows how European nations and the UN have sided with the Jews concerning the control over Jerusalem. Jerusalem was made into a national state for Judaism in 1948. However, in the process of claiming the land, the Jews took it away from the Muslims. Although the British later retracted the Balfour Declaration, it does not change the fact that we have been exiled from our own home, lost our lives, and lost our property.
Muslims have been persecuted through several occasions, and thus we need Jerusalem as a safe haven. Since the Crusades, Muslims have controlled the land. Muslims were attacked, slaughtered, and faced unimaginable hardships, making Arab victory over the Westerners painful and slow in coming. Although we sympathize with the Jews due to their experiences during the Holocaust, they then persecuted our people in response to their genocide. In 1994, an Orthodox Jew shot and killed 29 Palestinians and injured 140 more while they were praying at a mosque in what is called the Hebron Massacre. The land should be returned to us. We would like to control the land of Israel. We would be willing to share parts of our property with Christianity and Judaism. We shall not kick out the Christians, all the Christians and Jews, since we understand the feeling of being left with nothing. However, the percentage of Muslim citizens should be the majority in comparison to the percentage of Christian and Jewish citizens. We would also accept the sharing of holy sites and shrines, and we will allow people from those religions to make pilgrimage.
Welcome to the Peace in Jerusalem meeting. In this meeting, we will talk about the holy city of Jerusalem and hear representatives from three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, talk about their involvement in Jerusalem. We will also try to reach an agreement on ways to create peace among the religions. First, we'd like to share some brief history on the UN. The United Nations is an organization made up of countries whose common goal is to create world peace. There is a total of 192 countries involved in the UN. The United Nations headquarters is located in New York City, New York. The UN attempts to prevent future conflicts between various member countries. It was established on October 24, 1945, after World War II. The countries that rivaled Japan, Italy, and Germany met and agreed to prevent any major future wars. Since 1945, the UN efforts have made the world a safer and healthier place to live. International laws and human rights laws were one of the United Nations' greatest achievements. Now, we'd like to share a brief history on Jerusalem, the topic of which we're talking about today. Jerusalem is located in the Middle East in Israel. Since biblical times, the Holy Land of Jerusalem has been fought over. The ownership has been constantly changing between the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. According to the Bible, and referenced in the Israel World Book article, Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, established a Semitic state here in the Holy Land. A few decades later, Jesus was born. During Jesus' life, he created and spread Christianity. The Christians were the next to conquer Jerusalem. However, during the Crusader period, the Muslims attacked the Holy Land. The Christians were next to conquer it. After Muhammad's death, the Dome of the Rock was built. This is a mosque in Jerusalem. The Christians ultimately failed in regaining the Holy Land, and the Muslims retained control from the Crusader period into modern times. During the Ottoman period, Jews were once again allowed back in the city and remained there, living with the Muslims. In 1917, a document called the Balfour Declaration supported Zionists' desire to create a Holy Land in Jerusalem. Arthur Balfour stated in favor of the establishment of a Palestine state as a national home for the Jewish people. In 1947, the UN suggested a partition plan in an effort to appease both the Jews and Arabs. This partition plan was not accepted, and in 1948, Jewish was created as a Jewish homeland, pushing this geographic region into further despair. Post-1948 events, such as the Six-Day War, have been fought between the Jews and Muslims. Eventually, in 1968, Muslims and Christians and Jews were once again given access to their holy place. Events in the history today, many fights have still broke out, and cities around the West Bank have been bombarded with artillery. The struggle has existed due to disagreements of who should own the land. Wars have been fought here constantly, from fights between Jewish rebels and the Romans to the Crusades and the Six-Day War. No agreement has been made yet. These fights are still occurring because no solution has been created on who really should own this land. Ideas have been proposed in the past. In 2001, President Clinton made a suggestion. As stated in the Clinton parameters, Jerusalem should be an open and undivided city, with assured freedom of access and worship for all. It is said what is Jewish should be Israeli and what is Arab should be Palestinian. It is the hope of the UN that today we can have a discussion in an effort to work towards peace.
Is 75.6% Jewish. Therefore, the Jews should have control over the land. Judaism has been linked to this land since the beginning of the religion. Israel is considered as the promised land for the Jews. According to the Torah, it is believed that God made a covenant with their ancestors, choosing them to be a kingdom of priests and holy people. They also believe that the word of God was revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai in Israel. Jews have been in Israel for about 4,100 years and are still there today. Israel was given to them so they could have a home that was safe and free from oppression. The first and second temples were also located in Israel.
Stated in the CIA World Factbook, there are 2% of Christians living in Jerusalem. Although 2% is a small number, we feel that we have rights to the land as well. Many of you must be asking, why do you believe you deserve the Holy Land if 2% of the population is Christian? The answer to that is a common reason to all of us. We all have our individual sites in Jerusalem that are sacred to us. The land is sacred to us because it is the place where Jesus was resurrected. Jesus also preached throughout Jerusalem during his life, and he is our Messiah and founder. You may also be thinking, they all came to the land after us, why do they deserve it? Well, that is a good question. We came to Jerusalem during the times of the Crusades in 1095. We feel that this is significant because the Crusades were a series of holy wars in which we fought hard for our land. We fought these difficult battles because the land is sacred to us. According to the First Crusade by Melissa Smale, when the Seljuk Turks took over Jerusalem in the 11th century, they stopped allowing pilgrimages to the Holy Land. This is when we began the First Crusade. The First Crusade was an attempt to continue our faith the way we believed was right. Our rights were suppressed for a while because of the changes the Seljuk Turks made. We were not the first religious group in the Holy Land, but this place is as sacred to us as many of you. We propose a solution to the problem of land ownership in Jerusalem. According to the Clinton parameters, there will be no peace and no peace agreement unless the Israeli people have lasting security guarantees. As of now, there are no lasting security guarantees. Our proposal will implement these lasting security guarantees. We will make Jerusalem a non-religious state in which Muslims, Jews, and Christians can all practice their individual religions freely without persecution. We need to establish a community in which followers of the Big Three can coexist. According to the CIA fact book, there are currently 350 peacekeepers tending to the West Bank and Gaza Strip in Israel today. If we were to add more peacekeepers under the orders of the United Nations to control and enforce this solution, we could live in a society where members of their individual religions can coexist. The actions of the peacekeepers will be to monitor our city and prevent the outbreak of extremist groups.
Since the percentages of the religious population are constantly changing, an alternative solution would have the land control would be to have land control strictly based on population. The UN Partition Plan of 1947 enforces that Jews control 56.47% of the land and the Muslims control 43.23% of the land. We as Christians control no land, and we believe this is a problem, because Jerusalem is sacred to us as well. If 75.6% of Israel is Islamic, and then the Islam can control 75% of the land. If the number of Islamic Israelis were dropped down to 2% and the Christian Israeli population raised 75%, then the control of the land would switch in accordance with the religious population. Another alternative solution that we suggest would be that all the land can be split equally. Since the percentages of the religious populations are constantly changing, this can eliminate many problems. As Christians, we believe that the land should be shared, because according to the Ten Commandments, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself.
The challenges they face and the problems that the Crusader kingdom encountered and interacted. Because of the attack in the United States in 2001 by a small group of Muslims, the entire religion and population of people has been stereotyped due to their destruction. This stereotype must end because it is not true for what the Muslim religion actually believes in, which is peace. Also, another major issue people don't understand is the term jihad, means the holy war, and the defense of the religion against the people of other religions who don't agree with Islamic beliefs. In conclusion, Jerusalem is a very important holy site to the Muslims. I mean, as much as it does to the Jews and Christians as it does to the Muslims. All these reasons help to come up with solutions. The Muslims deserve to have Jerusalem because of the monuments, artifacts, and the place where our prophet ascended to heaven.
Here today, however, you rejected the partition plan. Why?
We rejected the partition plan because we believe that since we hold most of the population in Jerusalem.
Why did the Romans attack Jerusalem in the first place?
Well, Romans attacked Jerusalem because everybody wants land. And Jerusalem is land, and it's holy to a lot of people. And in
Jerusalem, why do you think you should control the land if your own people are attacking?
Well, it's not only our people. Even Jews are attacking Muslims. As I mentioned in my speech, in the Hebron massacre, Jews also killed the same amount of people that Muslims did. and to kill them after a Muslim prayer in their mosque. So it's just the same thing. It's just different.
See, we're not the only extremist group. The news usually is biased and puts us on there because it's not really fair, because it's not just us causing problems. We want our land back as much as you do, and we're just, some people are corrupt and they're trying to do it physically, and we just want to do it peacefully.
Gina?
So what you just said was, we are not the only extremist group, and we are not the only ones causing problems. So are you admitting that it is you causing the turbulence?
Well, some of the population, yes. In any single population, you can't expect everyone to be peaceful and happy and not